Do you know what it feels like to realize you failed the one person who needed you the most, and it might be too late to make it right? That question hit me like a blade the moment I saw her, frail, trembling, lying on that worn-out mattress in a room that smelled like damp and dust and heartbreak. Her eyes were the same, but they didn't recognize me anymore. Not as family, not even as human. Just another ghost from a past she no longer trusted. I thought I came to save her, but standing there, I wasn't the rescuer. I was the reason she never asked for help. And yet, something inside me refused to walk away. This isn't just a story about finding someone you lost. It's about fighting to be forgiven, about love that survives poverty, pride, and pain, about two children who taught a millionaire what it really means to be rich. Stay with me, because in the next moments you'll witness a choice that shattered everything I thought I knew and rebuilt the only thing that truly mattered. And what happens next will break your heart and maybe heal it too. Drop the bag. Nathan Carter growled, his footsteps heavy as they echoed against the alley walls. Right now, the two boys froze. They were no older than 9, their arms wrapped tightly around a plastic grocery bag, bulging with half-eaten scraps. One of them, the taller one, took a cautious step backward, instinctively shielding the smaller boy behind him. Their clothes were ragged, too thin for the sharp Chicago cold, and their faces, those weren't the faces of thieves. They were scared, hungry, but not guilty. "We didn't steal," the older boy said, voice trembling but strangely composed. "They were throwing this food away." Nathan, panting from the 3-block chase from his high-end restaurant in Lakeview, stared them down in his immaculate 3-piece suit. "That food still costs money." "My money?" "It's for our mom," the boy added quickly. "She's sick, can't leave the apartment." That hit him like a slap. "Your mom sent you out to dig through garbage." He didn't say it out loud, not yet. He was still trying to process the weird twist of emotion in his gut. Rage, yes, but something else, too, familiarity. The way the older one spoke, his eyes, his stubbornness. Nathan's gaze dropped to the boy's neck, and he froze. There, hanging from a thin, dirty chain, was a small gold locket, a very specific one. His heart stopped. "Where did you get that?" he asked hoarsely, pointing to the pendant. The boy clutched it protectively. "My mom gave it to me. Said it was special." Nathan didn't ask permission. He stepped closer, eyes locked on the locket. And there it was, etched faintly on the back, the words Emily 2007. A name, a year, and a flood of memories came crashing down like a tidal wave. "What's your mother's name?" Nathan whispered. The boys exchanged a look. Then the younger one, who hadn't spoken yet, said, "Emily. Emily Carter." The alley spun. 15 years. 15 years since his little sister Emily vanished after a brutal fight with their father. He had searched briefly, then business had swallowed him whole. He buried the grief, the guilt, told himself she'd return when she was ready. She never did. "Where is she?" he asked, voice suddenly shaking. "In an old building," the older boy said reluctantly. "But she doesn't like visitors. Says people only bring trouble." Nathan swallowed hard, his mind screaming, "I'm not people. I'm her brother." "What are your names?" he asked. "I'm Owen," said the older one. "And this is my brother Liam." Owen and Liam, 9 years old. That meant she'd left pregnant. He'd had a niece or nephew, no nephews, for almost a decade, and didn't know it. "Please," Nathan said, crouching to meet their eyes. "Let me see her. I need to see her." The boys hesitated. Then silently they turned and gestured for him to follow. The walk felt longer than it was. Each block peeled back layers of Nathan's past. He didn't belong in these crumbling streets among the boarded windows and graffiti-covered walls. But this was where his sister lived. This was what she'd endured while he built 5-star restaurants, hosted wine tastings, smiled on magazine covers. They arrived at a decrepit apartment building that looked barely standing. The boys didn't speak as they led him up creaking stairs past graffiti and filth. On the second floor, one door stood ajar, warm light flickering faintly through the crack. Inside, a woman lay on a mattress on the floor, wrapped in mismatched blankets. Her face was gaunt pale, her hair a tangle of gray and black. But the moment she turned her head and their eyes met, he knew. It was Emily. She jolted upright. "No," she gasped. "No, not you. Not now." Nathan stepped in, his voice cracking. Emily, it's me. It's Nathan. I know who you are, she snapped, pulling the blanket closer as if it could shield her from him. Get out. Owen stepped forward. Mom? He says he's your brother. Emily didn't even look at them. I don't have a brother. My brother disappeared when I needed him most. Emily, I looked for you. Nathan tried. I searched. I swear. For how long, she cut in, her voice like broken glass. A few weeks, a few months, until your precious restaurant needed you back. He had no words. She was right. Tears stung the back of his eyes. I didn't know you were pregnant. I didn't know because you never asked. She hissed, because you didn't care enough to find out. Silence fell. The boy stood between them, visibly shaken. Nathan wanted to say something, anything, but his voice failed him. He looked around the room, the peeling paint, the broken chair, the single candle casting shadows across the walls. This isn't how it's supposed to be, he murmured. Emily's breath rattled in her chest. No, but it's how it is. Suddenly she coughed violently. Owen rushed to bring her a stained mug of water. Liam sat beside her, rubbing her back with a tiny hand. Nathan stared, heartbreaking. Please, let me help. Just let me bring food. Emily looked at him, eyes narrowed. Fine, she said, voice low. Bring food. But if you're going to help, sit down, right there, and eat with us. It was a challenge. She wasn't asking for charity. She was testing him. Without hesitation, Nathan took off his coat, knelt down beside the boys, and waited while they unwrapped the cold leftovers from earlier. Owen handed him a half sandwich. Liam offered a spoonful of rice. They ate together by candlelight like a fractured memory from another life. That night, when he returned to his luxury condo in Lakeview, Nathan couldn't sleep. He lay staring at the ceiling, the taste of that sandwich still in his mouth, the weight of that locket still on his mind. And he made a promise. This time he would not walk away. This time he would stay. What do you think Nathan should do next? Should he fight for forgiveness or step back and let her go? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if this story touched you, don't forget to like the video and send some love. The next morning, Nathan returned before the sun even rose. He didn't knock. He didn't want to scare them again. He stood outside the crumbling door of that second-floor apartment, listening. Through the thin wood, he heard coughing, harsh wheezing, almost painful. It wasn't the boys. It was Emily. He pushed the door open slowly. Owen was crouched next to her, holding a damp cloth to her forehead. Liam sat silently on the mattress, hugging his knees, eyes wide and frightened. Emily was pale, too pale. Her breathing was shallow and her lips had a faint blue tint. Nathan stepped inside, a paper bag of groceries in his arms. Emily, he said gently, let me take you to a hospital. Her eyes fluttered open and she turned her head. No, you need help. I said no. Liam looked at him. Mommy fainted when she was cooking. Nathan felt something cold grip his spine. He dropped the groceries on the floor and knelt beside her. That's it. You're going. But Emily was still strong enough to glare. I've made it this far without your help. Don't act like a hero now. He looked at her frail body, at the way her hands shook even as she tried to push him away. He couldn't argue anymore. He had to act. That afternoon, he called in favors. A private doctor came to the apartment, a kind gray-haired man named Dr. James Whitmore. He didn't ask questions when he saw the state of the place. He simply pulled out his stethoscope and did what needed to be done. When he was finished, he looked at Nathan grimly. We need to get her into a hospital. This is serious. Emily didn't resist this time. Maybe because she couldn't. Maybe because she saw her boy's eyes fill with tears when she coughed blood into a tissue. The ride to the hospital was silent. Nathan sat with Emily in the back seat. Owen and Liam pressed to the window, watching the city blur past. She didn't speak, but once, just once, her fingers brushed against his. It felt like forgiveness, or maybe hope. They admitted her immediately. The diagnosis came the next day. Stage 4 lung cancer. Metastasized. Terminal. Nathan stood at the foot of the hospital bed. His suit wrinkled, his eyes red. Emily looked up at him calmly, almost too calmly. How long, she asked the doctor. 3 months, Dr. Whitmore said quietly. 4 if we're lucky, Owen whimpered. Liam held his hand tightly as if afraid his brother would vanish too. There are treatments, the doctor continued. Chemotherapy, radiation. We can try to slow it down. Emily shook her head. I don't want treatments. Nathan stepped forward. You haven't even thought about it, I have, she interrupted. For years. Every time I coughed, every time I got dizzy, I knew something was wrong. But I didn't have the luxury of doctors. You do now, Nathan said. I'll pay for everything. Emily turned her face to the wall. That night, Nathan stayed in the chair next to her hospital bed. The boys slept curled up on a small cot the nurses had brought in. He thought about all the time he'd wasted, about the house he lived in alone, about the way he used to chase profit like it would save him from regret. At 3 a.m, he pulled a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, something he'd found earlier in Owen's jacket. A letter, written in blue crayon. No envelope. Dear Santa, it read. I don't want toys this year. I just want my mom to get better. Please don't take her away yet. Nathan pressed the letter to his lips and cried for the first time in years. The next morning, Emily called him in when the boys were playing with blocks in the hallway. I need to talk to you, she said, her voice brittle. Anything. I'm not doing chemo, she said flatly. I won't put them through that. They deserve to remember me as I am, not hooked up to machines. Nathan opened his mouth to argue, but she raised her hand. Let me finish. He nodded. I want to go home, back to that apartment. I want to be with them. I want them to see me smile, not fade away under fluorescent lights. Nathan sat down on the edge of the bed. That place isn't safe. Then make it safe, she said. He looked at her stunned. I'm giving you a chance, she whispered. Don't blow it this time. He didn't. Over the next few days, Nathan hired contractors to repair the apartment. He installed heating, fixed the plumbing, scrubbed the walls, replaced the floors, and bought real beds for the boys. It wasn't luxury, but it was warm, it was clean, it was a home. When Emily returned, she barely recognized it. You did this? She asked, her voice weak. I promised, he said. That night, she sat at the small kitchen table and watched her boys eat a warm meal of pasta and garlic bread. Nathan had made it himself. Owen looked up. You can cook? Nathan smiled faintly. I own restaurants, remember? Liam grinned. Then you can teach us. Something flickered in Emily's eyes. Love, pride, sorrow. It was all there, tangled together. Later, when the boys were asleep, she turned to him. I'm scared, she said quietly. I know, but I don't want them to be. Then let me help. You already are. And for the first time, she reached out and took his hand. We're so sorry to pause the story here, but tell us, if you were in Nathan's shoes, would you have done the same? Or walked away? Let us know in the comments, and if this story moved you, please tap the heart and like the video. Your support means everything. Winter crept in quietly that year. Snow began dusting the corners of the crumbling streets in Chicago, softening the edges of a city that had for so long been hard and unkind to Emily Carter. But inside that small apartment, now warm, repaired, and filled with life, something else was blooming peace. Nathan Carter kept his promise. Every morning he arrived before the boys woke. He packed lunches, helped with homework, fixed squeaky drawers, and sometimes just sat beside Emily as she sipped tea, her body slowly failing, but her spirit never more alive. He no longer answered calls from investors. The restaurant meetings could wait. His world had narrowed to a single purpose, these 3 people. This home. Emily watched it all quietly. She never said the word thank you out loud, but Nathan didn't need it. He saw it in her eyes each time she watched him tie Owen's shoes or braid Liam's hair because he thought it looked cool. One night, as the boys slept soundly in their new bunk bed, Emily called Nathan into her room. She looked tired, her face pale against the soft glow of the bedside lamp. On her nightstand sat the locket, the one he'd given her the day she graduated. She picked it up, fingers trembling, and pressed it into his palm. I want you to have it, she whispered. Nathan's voice caught. In case they ever forget where they came from, she said, her smile faint but sure. Tell them we were once a family before the world made us strangers. You've made us a family again? No, she said gently. You did. That was the last full conversation they had. A week later, as dawn broke through the freshly cleaned windows, Emily slipped away in her sleep. Her hands rested on Owen and Liam's backs, both boys curled against her, the way they always did. Nathan sat in the chair by her bed, holding her hand through the night, whispering stories she could no longer respond to. He didn't cry when it happened. Not right away. He wrapped his arms around the boys as they woke and realized their mother was no longer breathing. He held them so tightly it hurt. And then when he saw Liam bury his face in Owen's shoulder, and Owen whisper, "It's okay. We still have each other." Then he wept. Emily's funeral was small, just as she had wanted. A handful of neighbors, a quiet priest, the boys, and Nathan. No press, no glamour, just love and the soft hum of goodbye. Later that afternoon, Nathan brought the boys to his restaurant for the first time. Their eyes widened at the tall ceilings, the chandeliers, the white tablecloths. "You own all of this?" Owen asked. "I did," Nathan replied. "But I sold too. I wanted more time." Time for what? Liam asked. He crouched to their level. "Time for you." That evening, as the kitchen made a simple pasta dish just for them, Nathan pulled out a sealed envelope. On the front, in shaky handwriting, was his name. Owen and Liam leaned in. "Is that from Mom?" Nathan nodded. He opened the letter and began reading aloud. Inside, Emily had written about everything: their childhood, her regrets, her fears, but most of all, her hopes. She asked Nathan to raise the boys not to be rich, but to be kind, to teach them love before ambition, to never let them forget who they were, and never let them become people who thought success came from money alone. She ended it with one final request. "Please don't try to be perfect for them. Just be present. That's all I ever wanted from you. That's all they'll need." That night, Nathan didn't return to his condo in Lakeview. He stayed at the apartment, tucked the boys in, and read them one of Emily's favorite books from when they were kids. He didn't leave when they cried. He didn't hide when he did too. In the weeks that followed, Nathan enrolled the boys in a local school, not the elite academy his clients would have chosen, but one where the teachers knew every child's name. They made friends. They laughed again, and slowly they healed. One Saturday morning, Nathan arrived with a surprise. A lease for a new house, small, warm, filled with light. Not a mansion, not a showpiece, just a place where a real family could grow. He knelt down and asked, "Would you two like to come live with me?" Owen looked at Liam. Liam looked at the locket in Nathan's hand. "Yes," Owen said, "but only if we can bring all of Mom's books." "All of them," Liam added. Nathan smiled through tears. Every single one. On move-in day, they stopped by the cemetery first. Owen held a single white rose. Liam carried a small photo of their mom tucked in his coat pocket. Nathan knelt beside them at her headstone. "We found our home," he said softly. "Just like you asked." Liam looked up at the sky. "Do you think she's watching?" Nathan nodded. She never stopped. Later that night, the boys unpacked in their shared room. Nathan tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, and was about to leave when Owen called out. Dad Nathan turned, caught off guard. "Can we still call you Uncle Nathan? Or do you want us to say Dad now?" He walked back, knelt beside the bed, and took their hands. "You can call me whatever you want," he whispered, "but to me, you'll always be my sons." Owen smiled. Liam reached under his pillow and pulled out the locket. "Mom said to give you this," he said, "when we were ready to be a family." Nathan took it, heart trembling. He fastened it around his neck, and just like that, the circle closed, not in grief, but in grace. So tell me, if you were Emily, would you have trusted Nathan again after so many years? And if you were Nathan, could you live with the guilt and still fight for redemption? What did you feel the most in this story? Emily's strength, the children's innocence, or Nathan's transformation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If this story touched your heart, comment number 3 below. Comment number 1 if you felt something was missing, and number 2 if you thought it was just okay. Also, where are you watching from? We'd love to know which country you're in. Please tap the heart and share this video to help spread this message of love, healing, and second chances.